Now take it to the next level. I was listening to this dude who's an exorcist.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Remember my uncle in the Philippines, is an exorcist? I always wanted to talk to him, but they're like, oh, it's kind of rude. Like, like, because you
Yeah,
might be
yeah, yeah.
mocking it. But I'm like, I'm not trying to mock. I really want to know, like, what is this exorcism you're talking about? So Sean Ryan had an exorcist on his podcast, and then he was talking about it, and he was saying, like, how there's like angels and demons all around us at all times,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, but they enact through us our will, their will. So, like, what, where does a thought come from?
Right. Okay. Yeah.
You know what I'm
Consciousness.
saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
Right, like our consciousness is like we're just witnessing, right? You can literally just watch your thoughts. That's what meditation teaches you, right? Like it's like, oh, that's a thought, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like the clouds, and then there's the sky behind. The consciousness is your sky, and then the clouds are like the thoughts, right? That's why you
Mm-hmm.
can watch them pass by. So what he was saying is like they put thoughts in our head all the time,
Yeah.
like
Right. Yeah, yeah. I've
good
heard that.
good
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
evil, and I'm like, dog. And then you just follow that path. You're like, oh, I thought it must be true. But that's what happens when you're like, oh, my ideas are my identity. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like with that in mind, and then you look at like anime, Jujutsu Kaisen. I'm watching this one like Devil Man Crybaby right now, and it's about like demons and stuff. And it's like a new anime. But
Yeah. I thought I saw it somewhere. I didn't see it, but like the
maybe
name
like
is
Netflix or
familiar.
something.
Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it came out like kind of recently. It's a remake of an old anime, but like just think about those concepts. It's like, is that what's going on too?
Mm-hmm.
Like, are there when they say interdimensional beings, is it like are there things trying to put thoughts in our head? Because there's a machine, and this is a real machine that the CIA created, where they they can make you. So what they're saying is like there's a non-harm weapon now. So what it is, it uses sound waves to make it feel like your body's on fire, or to make you think
Yeah. Yeah.
certain
Yeah.
thoughts.
Yeah.
Right, you heard of this, right? Bro. Okay. So like when they said we can put thoughts in your head, I'm like, okay. So where like I think that's why you need the ultimate discernment of being able to distinguish thoughts from reality, or like thoughts from you.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
like you remember when we were kids and we play with like the birds in your tree?
Mm-hmm.
Remember, like I would like always whip like stones at them. It's
Sure.
terrible, terrible. Like you're a kid, you're just like, what are you doing? But like, what was that thought? And I just attached that thought. Let's make it a reality. Let's see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Remember? And then we had like that bird funeral. Like Wob had like a
Yeah.
21 water
Right.
gun salute. You remember that? Yeah, yeah, yeah. So it's like, but what pushed you to do that? Is a thought that entered in your head, and then you're like, oh, I should follow that path.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, what's the thought? Did you have the sentience to be like, maybe this is not the smartest idea, you know?
Right.
And then you get it. I'm just like down, like emoting to you because it's been a crazy week of like thinking about this. I'm like, maybe that is what is happening. The collapse of the wave function, or like creating things into reality. It's like these thoughts just enter your head, and then you just manifest them into a thing. You
Mm-hmm.
know. And then I was talking to Tara um about like like I don't know how to put this politely, but like socioeconomic early births.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, like we know people through the socioeconomic class, like they've had like births at a young age. And then I was like, yeah, it's just if you educated them, whatever. And then Tara was like, but they also don't have, like scientifically, they don't have the ability to rationale consequence because your hormones are so high, your prefrontal
Sure.
cortex isn't like fully developed. And I was like, that's true because like think about our childhood and we like biked through the forest, and we're like, oh, we could have totally died.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not. You're like, we're not gonna die. Like, oh, well, like go down that hill as fast as possible without a helmet.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, right? Like, remember we used to bomb down the hill and used to do the genie,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And then like, but we weren't freaking thinking, bro. Like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
it was scary, but you're just like, yeah, it's fine, it's fine. Like, you would do like the no hands bike down the hill
Yeah.
as
There's no
fast as you
idea
could,
of
and we try and
consequence. Yeah. There's no idea of
right,
potential consequence. Yeah. Sure.
right. But then you're like, but then if they're putting these in our head, but people, the thing is this, you have, if through like spiritual growth or like understanding yourself, you could either realize, that your thoughts are not who you are, or you just keep going down that path,
Hmm.
and then you're just like plagued by stupid decisions for the rest of your life, and you're like, why did I do that? And you're like, yeah, because you couldn't discern that it
Hmm.
wasn't you, bro. It's just a thought.
Right.
A
Right.
thought is not you. Crazy, right? And then
Hmm.
like you think about going to anime Jujutsu Kaisen when they're like demons are just like this one bad idea that just kept growing and growing and growing, and now they have a demon, and then you need like the Jujutsu Kaisen or like an exorcist to like get the demon out, right? Maybe.
Right.
Like, what do you think? And that's why we have a sick world. You know what I mean? Like, why do you have so many people like money grabbing for like like you have these like oligarchs like with
Hmm.
all there's millions of dollars, and like America's a prime example of it. You should look at it, you're like, oh, this is crazy right now. But you're like,
Right.
how'd we get there? How'd we get there?
Hmm.
Well, what do you think?
I mean, these are things that have been, I think, as being a skepticism, right? It's been,
Mhm.
I mean, it's not like exorcism or these things are new, right? It's been there for a
That's
while, right?
where I'm getting at. I'm like, why did you guys have this the whole time? If you actually look at like skepticism, empirical science, all that stuff, it's only like the last maybe 80 years. Because we talked about Nikola Tesla, Albert Einstein, all these people, they were into the occult. And then they were using that occult to make science.
Hmm.
And then I'm like, and then
Well,
with the
they
whole
were
UFO
proving
thing,
the
yeah,
science, right? That thing is
they
that
were
they were
proving the
proving the
occult
science,
through science. Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah. They heard it before. They're like literally Newton's laws. If you go read the Emerald tablets, they're identical, action
Hmm.
reaction. But then you find out like he was into that, and you're like, oh, okay, so you just like took an old idea and then like made it real, you
But
know?
there was other things that some of those I would say scientists believe, but it didn't come like they couldn't prove it, right?
Right, but this is where I think we're at an apex for 2025, which is like, what's real? Let's put the science behind it. That's why I'm so interested in UFOs. I'm
Mm.
like, if they're real or not, bro, just let us know, but put the science behind it. That's
Right.
why I'm like the Skywatcher thing. They just dropped it yesterday, I think, part two. So like the documentary of Skywatcher HQ, they put that out, and then that was just like teaser, and then they put an article on X, and they said like the next step within the 4 to 6 weeks is we're gonna do an empirical study, using Gary Nolan, who's like a Nobel Prize nominee, as the bedrock for how we're gonna gauge this thing. Like he's making the scientific thing where he's like, it's just gonna be undeniable. So like, all right, let's run the experiment. So like within 4 to 6 weeks, they're gonna like release the data of their experiment. So I'm like you said, it's like those things, like some are proven, some are not. But it's like, but what is there? We
Hmm.
just like dismissed everything through this whole scientific revolution. And I think now we're hitting this point where we're like, okay, we need to go back to that. I really think that The Matrix came out in like 1999, right? And they're talking about that being the golden age. And
Hmm.
like really thinking about it, it was the golden age of like obviously we didn't have like PayPal and like all that stuff. Like we didn't really have like all this technology. Technology is amazing, right? But I think the reason why it was a golden age is we weren't sucked into the media, like into the internet, but we had that option. We
Hmm.
could play outside.
Yeah.
We were still like nature and technology. It was still like there was like a bit of a balance because and I think that as we move forward, like going forward in 2025, it's like we're gonna find more balance between nature and technology. So maybe we'll hit another golden age, you know?
Right.
Because like, do you feel that too? Like, it's been almost too skeptical. This is the thing, though. You and I were like very no. It has to be science, bro.
Hmm.
Right? Like, if you can't prove it with science, it's like
Yeah,
then
yeah, yeah.
what's the validity? It's all just like anecdotal. That's why I wanted to like see the extra um a personal story, but like I'll like swim through it. Somebody I know was possessed, right?
Hmm.
Like possessed by a demon, and then they like did the exorcism, and then they got this is back in the Philippines, and like then they got it out, right? And then when I asked my uncle, like, oh, what are those trees? Like they're acacia trees. I'm like, okay, they're high in DMT, so like maybe something happened, right? But then my mom, she was like, no, it's definitely a parasite. So as a kid, I was listening to this crazy like demonic possession, and then my mom's like, it's a parasite because she's a nurse, right? So I was like, okay, that makes sense. Like, yeah, of course it's a parasite. Like, you
Right.
know. But then
Mhm.
now
Mhm.
it's like it might not have been a parasite, but we are entering into the part of like psychics now. Remember the last podcast? Like psychics are how you pilot these UAP vehicles. So you're like, okay, so we know psychics are
Right.
real to some
Yeah.
degree. So what the hell does that mean, bro? I need some science to like tell,
Mhm.
maybe there is a scientific component to this spiritual thing. It's magic until it's proven through science. And then you're like, oh, it's just like this. Just textbook, write it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.